him on the meaning of the murex. He said he spent many hours of extensive research going through the Shita, and he came out at the beginning of this year. He said, if there would be a 50-50 chance, we would be mechuyev to put it on. He says if there would be a 10% chance, it would be a miut ha-motzui, there might be a very stark amokum to be machmer. He said, I believe after going through the whole sugya, and visiting their plant and their factory twice, and them coming to his shul to put on a display, he says he believes there's 0% chance that the murex is the chilazim. One of the questions that Rabbi Reisman has is from the Gemara in Shabbos. The Gemara in Shabbos Dalet on the base says that one of the malachos in the Mishkan, one of the Lamites malachos was kosher and matir. Tie and untying. The Gemara wants to know, where did they tie and untie things during the construction, during the putting together of the Mishkan? So the Gemara goes through a few stuff, and maybe the linen, maybe when they made the Mishkan on the top, that the tie, if there was a rip in the middle. The Gemara comes out to Maskana that Amar Rava, V'itein Rabbi Lo, Shekain Tzayadei Chilazayin, Kaishinu Matir. When they trapped the Chilazim to use for the Techeles in the Mishkan, so they had to be kosher and matir. What was the kosher and matir? Gemara doesn't say exactly what the kosher and matir was. Rashi says, Sadei Chilazim litzboya ha-Techeles b'damai, v'hu kimin dag v'kotin. Rashi doesn't say this. Rashi says it's a dag kotin. Dag is a regular fish that swims. Kimin. V'hoyla achas l'shivu shana. Where you kosher and matir, the Rashi should call ha-rishasais asuyis ksharim ksharim. All nets are made with knots in them. V'hein kishrei kayama, and sometimes, in other words, imagine yourself, you have a basketball net, and it rips. One of the cords rips. So you take the two loose ends and you tie them together. So the same thing they did when they trapped the chilazim. Sometimes they had to make the nets bigger and attach more nets and make it smaller. And what they would do is they would take the two loose ends and they would sort of tie it together in a double knot, and they would be kosher. The Gemara says that's the kshira and the matir that was done in the Mishkan. Now when you go ahead and want to catch, let's say, a butterfly, use a net. If you want to catch a fly, you catch a fly. You want to catch a fish that's swimming, use a net. If you want to catch a rock on the floor, you don't use a net. It's useless. You go pick it up. He says it seems to him very foolish that you use a net to catch a murex, a snail. A snail doesn't move. It stays in one place, it's stationary. So why would you use a net to get it? So if you reach it, you get it, you take it. So he says the whole meaning of kosher matir, which the Gemara says, was the gift that Tzaddik Chilazim, seems to him like it's a rye, that it's not the Chilazim. Now, if you learn that it's the cuttlefish, then it's moving. Cuttlefish swims. You have to catch it. So use nets. That's how they catch cuttlefish today. If you learn that it's like Rabbi Herzog's Yamtina, it's in between. I mean, it's a snail, but we said it has a lot of bubbles, and it floats, and it goes with the water current on the top of the surface. So it does go with the current, drifts along. So maybe then you could use a net to get it. But the murex is on the bottom of the water, it's on the seabed, and it doesn't move the fire, so then why would you need it? He said he wrote this letter to them, and he asked them, and he said they printed in a journal, this is the Wayumix, they printed in a journal that Aristotle and Pliny, who lived in the time of the Gemara, and in the time of the Bini Bais Rishon and Bais Sheni, they both each one wrote like an encyclopedia for their time, and they both wrote that they used to use nets to catch these murex, to catch the snails which they used to die. And so they said, in those days, by says they used nets. See, he said this is like the second or third time that he felt that it wasn't like they were just giving answers, they were very being misleading, purposely misleading. He said, I went to check it up. So he checked up Aristotle. He said, it took him time, he checked it up, it was volume 15, chapter 5. And the whole thing speaks all about the murex and how they used to trap the murex and how the murex used to reproduce everything about the murex, nothing to do with Techeles. It wasn't what he was talking about. And he says that he writes over there very clearly that they had a whole different way of doing it. No mention whatsoever of a net. They used wicker baskets. Wicker baskets is they would take a basket and put bait in it, put some meat in it, and they would lower it to the bottom, which wasn't so deep, a couple of feet, 10, 15 feet where the murex are, off the shore, 10 feet down, and you would lower it down, and then it would sit there with the bait in it, and the snails would smell the bait somehow, and they would slowly, over like a day or two, they would make their way towards this wicker basket, and they would attach themselves to it as they climbed up. They somehow attached themselves to it with their tongue or something, and they would attach themselves to it. And that's how Aristotle says that they would eventually lift up this thing, and there would be a whole bunch of snails attached to the sides of it. Some made it inside, some made it outside. They would pick it up like that. No mention whatsoever of a net to make it into a kosher mater. A wicker basket is not something that you expand and tie in your kosher mater. He said there is a little bit of a mention, might be like a very agapic mention over there of something like mesh, a cloth that they would put down. But even a mesh, he says, it's not something it's like a cloth that you have very close. It's not like a cloth which is very tight and it's looser, but has nothing to do with, you don't put kosher mater on it to extend it and to do it. So he said that this is something that really bothers him. They write back. They answer. They say, no. You got the wrong shot in Rashi. Rashi doesn't mean, and summary Rashi, it's all that we show you. They also say that the kosher matter is by the nets. This doesn't mean the nets. What it means is, how do you lower the wicker basket? So you have to put a string attached to it. You have to put a cord attached to it. Now sometimes you can put it in deeper water, and sometimes in more shallow water. So that rope you have to sometimes tie to make it longer, and sometimes when you want it shorter, you untie to do it. He says it doesn't mean that that's a real reshes. Rashi doesn't mean reshes. Rashi means that you're lowering down this cord and this rope that you do it, and sometimes you have to tie that to make it bigger and smaller, which doesn't really fit it. But they did answer it recently. Now, in the times of the Gemara, in the times of things Chazal, the writers, the ancient writers, don't write anything about a net. They write about a wicker basket, and they write about baby mesh. But somebody, Rabbi Chaim Klein, he wrote a short response to questions against the Murik Techeles, which was published in the Mishpacha, and he writes, nets are used to capture the chilazim. It seems, this is a quote from a Breisman, it seems foolish to use nets to catch snails. The answer, it may seem foolish, but it's a fact well known by those who catch sea snails. Facts are stubborn things. The snails are attached to baited nets and are left on the floor of the ocean, and when the nets fill up, they're raised to the fishing boat. So, okay, I don't know. He has a picture over here that they talk seeing something looks like a net that they use and they catch snails on it. The name, I don't know. All I know is that the rayas that they brought from Aristotle, which was that he wrote all about the murex and how to catch the murex. He mentions nothing about it, at least in the times of Chazal. And if I can't write that you use the basket, which is in the Stavrnik way, which they talk to use that much very often today also. But if you want, this is an answer to it. That it's not necessarily a raya. Rabbi Reisman felt it was a raya, but it's Gemara says in Megillah Davov that Zvulun was not so happy with his chelik that he got as Yerusha in Eretz Yisrael.